Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to present on the topic Animal Kingdom, which is chapter 4 from the NCERT class 11th biology textbook. And since it is a long chapter, so I will try to complete it as soon as possible. And since it would have been better if Rukhsar would have presented her part, but since she will present it later, so first of all, I will explain where the animal kingdom lies in the 5 kingdom classification. So what makes an organism an animal, or what consists what are the characteristics of an organism which are present in the animal kingdom? The most important one is that they are eukaryotic. Animals are made up of eukaryotic cells, and they are multicellular. And another thing is that they lack cell wall. The other kingdoms such as plantae and fungi have cell wall. The cell wall of plants is made up of cellulose, while that of fungi is made up of chitin. And animal cell lacks cell wall. And another thing is that animal have heterotrophic mode of nutrition, while plants and fungi have autotrophic as well as saprophytic mode of nutrition respectively. So the main characteristics of an animal is that it is eukaryotic, multicellular, and it lacks cell wall, and it has heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So now in kingdom Animalia, the parameters on the basis of which we classify animals will be explained right now. So the basis of classification. So first parameter is level of organization. Since animals are multicellular organism, so there are more than one cell in an organism which interact with each other and for division of labor. And so there are different types of level of organization. First is cellular level of organization, in which the animal consists of only loose cell aggregates, means the animal consists of just bunch of cells, and there is some division of labor seen in the cell. So, this kind of organization is seen in Porifera, and the cells do not specialize to perform the same function and therefore do not form tissue. Next is tissue level of organization, in which cells performing the same function are arranged into a tissue, and this is seen in coelentrates. Then comes organ level of organization, in which many different types of tissue group together to perform a specific function by forming an organ, and each specialized and there is an specialized organ for particular function, and this is seen in platyhelminths and all the further groups. And then comes the organ system level of organization, in which different organs associate to form functional systems, and there is a specialized system for a particular physiological function such as respiratory system as well as circulatory system, and these are seen in all phylums above platyhelminths phylum. The other thing is types of circulatory system. So there are two kinds of circulatory system. One is open type, another one is closed type. In the open type circulatory system, the blood is pumped out of the heart and the cells and tissue are directly bathed in it. So the tissue comes in direct contact with the blood, and through the pores, the hemolymph or the blood from the sinuses enters the heart and is recirculated. While, as you can see here, so the blood vessels are not connected and the tissues are bathed in the blood. While in closed type circulatory system, the blood is circulated through series of vessels which consist of arteries, veins, and capillaries. So the blood never comes in contact with the tissue, and only the important nutrients and molecules are exchanged between the tissue and the blood via blood vessels. So these are two types of circulatory system. Then comes symmetry. So some organisms have asymmetrical body, which means that if any plane is passed through the center, it will not divide the organism into two equal halves. This is seen in Porifera. Then comes the radial symmetry, in which any plane passing through the central axis of the body will divide the organism into two equal halves. These are seen in coelentrates and other phylums, which will be explained later. And bilateral symmetry is when the body is divided into equal left and right half when cut only through one plane. Next comes the germinal layer organization. A germ layer is a primary layer of cell that is formed during the embryonic development. These are also known as embryonic layers. So, there are three types of germinal layers, and these layers further differentiate to form different kind of organs in the body, such as in human, the ectoderm makes up the central nervous system and skin. while the mesoderm forms the lungs, heart, and kidney, etc., while the endoderm forms the gut and the liver, etc. And so in animals in which there are only two embryonic cells, which is ectoderm and endoderm, such animals are called as diploblastic animals. And example of this is coelenterate. And there is an undifferentiated mesoclia layer which is present in the between the endoderm and ectoderm. While triploblastic animals are those which also have mesoderm in between the endoderm and ectoderm. And this is seen in platyhelminths and all other higher phylums up to chordates. Then comes coeloms. Coelom is the body cavity which is lined by mesoderm. So in this, we can see that this body cavity is surrounded by mesodermal layer, and is present between endoderm and mesoderm. While and such animals which possess coelom are known as coelomates, and these includes annelids, mollusks, arthropods, echinoderm, hemichordates, and chordates. And when the mesoderm is not when the body cavity is not lined by mesoderm, such as in this case, where the body cavity is present between ectoderm and endoderm, but the mesoderm is present as scattered pouches between them, then such body cavity is known as pseudocoelom. And esculments are phylum of animals which have pseudocoelom. In some animals, there is absence of body cavity. So there are three layers: endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm, but there is no body cavity in between. And such these animals are known as acoelomates. Example of this is platyhelminths. Now we begin the classification of animals based on these parameters. So Porifera is a phylum which has cellular level of organization, and they are asymmetrical. Coelenterates or Cnidaria have radial symmetry, and they have tissue level of organization or higher organization. Ctenophora also have radial symmetry, and platyhelminths do not have body cavity, that is, they are acoelomate and have bilateral symmetry. Esculments have false coelom, that is pseudocoelomate, that is, the coelom is not covered by mesoderm. And other phylums such as annelid, arthropod, mollusk, echinoderm, hemichordata, and chordata have true coelom, that is, they are coelomates. So the first phylum is phylum Porifera. This is Cycon, this one, and this is Euspongia, and this is Spongilla. So all these three, these belong to phylum Porifera, and these are called as sponges. Now they are mostly marine and asymmetrical, and they are sessile. Sessile means that they cannot move. They have cellular level of organization, as I told you earlier. They also have water transport system or canal system for their nutrition as well as excretion and other function. So water enters through ostia. Ostia are many different pores in their body. These purple dots are ostia, these pores, and water enters through them and then get filled in the central cavity, which is known as spongiocele, and then goes out through the osculum. Osculum is a major pore, one major pore which is known as osculum, and there are specialized cells called choanocytes or collar cells, which helps in trapping the food which enters through water, and their exoskeleton is made up of spicules or spongin fibers, and they are hermaphrodite, that is, male and female are not separate, and the reproduction can be of two types, asexual and sexual. In asexual, reproduction is occurred by fragmentation, and sexual reproduction occurs by gamete formation. The fertilization is internal and the development is indirect. So indirect development means that there is a larval formation and the larva is not looking similar to the adult. An example of these are Cycon, Spongilla, and Euspongia, which I showed you earlier. Anyone has any doubts so far? Hello?
Continue.
No. Please feel free to interrupt if you have any doubt in between, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so next is phylum Coelenterata, which is also known as Cnidaria. So this is Portuguese manophore, means common name is Portuguese manophore, and this is sea anemone, this is brain coral, this is sea pen, and this is sea pen and fan. And so these are coelenterates are aquatic and they are mostly marine. They can be either sessile or free swimming, and they are radially symmetrical animals. They have specialized cell called as cnidoblast or cnidocytes, and that's why they are known as Cnidaria. And these contains nematocyte or stinging capsule, and these are present on the tentacles of these organisms. They have tissue level of organization, and they are diploblastic. That is, they have two germinal layers, ectoderm and endoderm, and their circulatory system is open. One important feature which these cylinderates show is alteration of generation, which is also known as metagenesis. So there are two basic forms, polyps and medusa. Polyps are usually sessile and cylindrical. This is polyp. An example of these are Hydra and Adamsia. Medusa are umbrella-shaped and free swimming. Example of this is jellyfish. So this is polyp and this is medusa. Some cnidarians like Obelia can exist in both the forms. Hence, this is known as alteration of generation or metagenesis. They exhibit metagenesis, in which polyps produce medusa through asexual reproduction, while medusa form the polyps sexually. Examples are Phycelia, which is Portuguese man of war, Adamsia, sea anemone, sea pen, sea fan, brain coral, etc.
Excuse me, Mohit.
Yes, yes.
Can I just yeah? So can you yeah? Thank you. So the nidoblast you specified, right? So can you just please explain about that, because I think it is an important
So
point.
nidoblast are a type of cell which have vacuoles in which these nematocytes or stinging capsule is present.
Yeah.
These nematocytes are packed in it, and
Yeah.
in case of defense, these are present on tentacles. So when these tentacles sting, they release these nematocytes, and the nematocytes or the stinging capsule contain the poison or whatever the defense molecule, which is released, and the stinging occurs.
Okay.
So these nematocytes or stinging capsule are released from the nidoblast when the tentacle is stung to us.
Okay. Have you gone through any about nidocytes in particular, or just in general?
In general, any particular nidocyte?
Okay. Please continue.
No, I didn't get your question. Like, what do you mean by any particular nidocytes?
No, I was asking that could you please explain the mechanism of how these cells is causing the defensive mechanism against the attacking predators and all.
I don't have a diagram right now. Otherwise, with the help of diagram, I could explain better. But the principle is same, that these are pegged and released while stinging. So like it comes out of the cell and then release the whatever defense molecule it has.
Okay.
I could have explained better with the example with the diagram, but I'm sorry I didn't add that in the presentation right now.
Yeah. Okay. Please continue.
Yeah. Okay. So the next phylum is phylum Ctenophora. This is Pleurobrachia, and this is Ctenoplana, and these are beautiful organisms, and they have the property of bioluminescence. So Ctenophora are also known as sea walnuts or comb jellies, and these are exclusively marine. Like no freshwater Ctenophora is present. They show radial symmetry, and they are diploblastic with tissue level of organization. They have 8 external rows of ciliated comb plates which help in locomotion. So these are ciliated comb plates. These which is labeled as steins. So, and digestion is both extracellular and intracellular. So what do you mean by extracellular and intracellular digestion? Intracellular digestion means the digestion occurs only inside the cells. So the nutrient is reached inside every single cell, and the secretory substance or enzymes which act on the nutrient, they all take place inside the cell. And extracellular digestion means the secretory enzymes are released outside the cell, and the digestion of the nutrient with the help of enzyme occurs outside the cell, and the digested nutrients are then further absorbed. So in this organism, both intracellular as well as extracellular digestion is seen, and they show bioluminescence property. Males and females are not separate. They show sexual reproduction, and the fertilization is external, and the development is indirect. Example are Pleurobrachia and Ctenoplana. Next is phylum Platyhelminths. This is the tapeworm. So this is the whole body of tapeworm, and here this small part is the head, which is also known as scolex, and it has hook-like structure through which uh, it is attached to the intestine of the host, and it absorbs nutrients from the host. This is liver fluke, and this is planaria. So platyhelminths are also known as flatworms because they have dorsoventrally flattened body, and they are mostly endoparasites. Planaria are not parasites, while other like liver fluke and tapeworms are endoparasites. They are bilaterally symmetrical, and they are triploblastic. That is, they have three germinal layer: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. But they do not possess body cavity, so they are acoelomate, and they have organ level of organization. Hooks and suckers are present in the parasitic form, since most of them are endoparasites, and some of them can absorb nutrient from the host directly through their body surface. So other platyhelminths have gut, but tapeworm do not have gut. No digestive system is present, and it directly absorbs nutrient from the host through their body surface. Specialized cells such as flame cell helps in osmoregulation and excretion in this type of organisms. Male and females are not separate, they are hermaphrodite, and fertilization is internal. Development is through many larval stages, and planaria has the regeneration property. Example are Taenia, which is tapeworm, and Fasciola, which is liver fluke. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are not labeled, so let me explain. 1 is the ectoderm, and 5 is the ectoderm, 1 is the epidermis, which is both same in this case. 2 is the gut, 4 is the endoderm, and 3 is the mesoderm here. Then comes phylum Aschelminths. This is Escherichia. This is Wucheria, filarial worm, and the third one is Encyclostoma here. And these all are known as roundworms, and they may be free living, aquatic or terrestrial, or they can act as parasite in plants and animal. They have organ system level of body organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic, and they are pseudocoelomate. That is, the coelom is not surrounded by the mesoderm, and mesoderm is present in scattered pouches. They have complete alimentary canal. Complete alimentary canal means mouth and anus is separate. In earlier organism, either the digestive system was not present, or if present, it was incomplete. That is, there was only single opening in that case. So here, complete alimentary canal is present with well-developed muscular pharynx. They are dioecious, that is, male and female are separate. Fertilization is internal, and development may be direct in few organisms and indirect in other organisms. Examples are Ascaris, roundworm, Wucheria, which is filarial worm, and Encyclostoma, which is hookworm. Then comes phylum Annelida. This is this is Nereis. This is leech, which is Hirudinaria, and earthworm, Ferretima posthuma. So they may be aquatic, marine or freshwater, or terrestrial, free living, and sometimes parasite. So example of parasite is leech, which is an ectoparasite. They have organ system level of organization, and they are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic, and they have true coelom, that is, they are coelomate. And one most important feature of these are they are metamerically segmented. That is, each segment has almost similar repeating organs, and so their whole body is segmented, and each segment consists of ganglions and heart. So the organs keep repeating themselves in every segment of these organisms. They possess longitudinal and circular muscles, which helps in locomotion. And organisms like Nereis also have appendages, which are known as parapodia. So these parapodias are present mostly in aquatic annelids. Nephridia is the organ which helps in osmoregulation and excretion in these organisms. Neural system consists of paired ganglion connected by lateral nerve to double ventral nerve cord. So I chose this diagram to show this. So there are two nerve cord on both the lateral side, and which are connected by these lateral nerves, and and these consist of ganglions, and these are present in every segment. So two nerve cord are present, and they are connected by these lateral nerves. Nereis is an aquatic annelid. It's dioecious, means means the male and female are different, but earthworms and leeches are monoecious, that is, they are hermaphrodite. Reproduction is sexual, and example are Nereis, Pheretima, earthworm, Hirudinaria, leech. Then comes the phylum Arthropoda. This is the largest phylum of animal kingdom, and it consists of all the insects, all the crustaceans, and all the arachnids. So this is butterfly, grasshopper, prawn, mosquito, spider, crab. This is the largest phylum, and it consists almost 2/3 of the all the classified species so far. They have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and these are also segmented, but they are not metamerically segmented. So the body is divided into head, thorax, and abdomen. So the body is segmented, but it is not metamerically segmented. I hope you get it. And coelomate. They have chitinous exoskeleton. The body consists of head, thorax, and abdomen. And the name arthropod is given because they have jointed appendages. So their appendages have different joints, and so they can move their appendage in any direction. And different respiratory organs such as gills, book lungs, or tracheal system is present. I don't know why this problem occurred in this PPT. Sorry. Circulatory system is open type, so the blood do not flow in closed vessels, and the tissues are bathed in the blood. Hello.
ठीक है वो पास आ गया, मुझे लग रहा है इसलिए हो रहा है ऐसा.
हाँ. Yes, sir. So sensory organs such as antenna, eyes, stetocyst are balance organs, and such sensory organs are present in this phylum. And excretion is through Malpighian tubules. They are mostly dioecious, that is, males and females are separate. Fertilization is usually internal. They are mostly oviparous, that is, they lay egg. Development may be indirect or indirect. So indirect development means larval formation takes place. So examples are all the insects, arachnids, crustaceans, etc. Next is phylum Mollusca. This is the second largest phylum in animal kingdom. This is the cuttlefish. This is Pila. This is squid, octopus, oyster, and the sea hare. So second largest animal phylum. They may be terrestrial or aquatic, and in aquatic, marine or freshwater. They have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and coelomate. One thing which is not mentioned in the textbook and which is important is their coelom is highly reduced and only surrounded near the heart and other organs, and the coelom is blood-filled, and such coelom is known as hemocoel. And body is covered in calcareous cell and unsegmented with a distinct head, muscular foot, and visceral hump. So a soft and spongy layer
Hello.
of hello.
Okay, so you told that the coelom is highly reduced.
Yes.
Can you explain why it is reduced? Is
I
it some adaptation to something, or
Yes. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't read about it, but this is a feature mostly seen in mollusks. I don't know why the coelom is reduced. It might be because of evolutionary adaptation, but
okay?
I cannot say more than that. I don't know really.
Okay.
So a soft and spongy layer of skin forms a mantle over the visceral hump, and the space between the hump and mantle is known as mantle cavity, and in which feather-like gills are present. So then the anterior head has sensory tentacles, and the mouth contains a file-like rasping organ for feeding, which is known as radula. So this is the radula, and they are usually dioecious, male and female are separate, oviparous, and the development is indirect. Example are Pila, apple snail, Pinctada, which is pearl oyster, Sepia cuttlefish, Loligo squid, octopus devilfish, Absilia sea hare, and Dentalium, which is tusk shell. Then comes phylum Echinodermata. This is starfish, this is brittlefish, this is sea urchin, and this is sea lily. Yeah, sea lily. So these are exclusively marine organisms. Their endoskeleton, they have calcareous ossicles endoskeleton, and hence the name Echinodermata because they have spiny bodies. They have organ system level of organization. Adult Echinoderma radially symmetrical, such as the starfish, but the larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic and coelomate, and digestive system is complete. So the mouth is on the ventral side and anus is on the dorsal side. So digestive system is complete in this case. And they have water vascular system. which is present and which helps in, I'm sorry, this is locomotion, spelling mistake, and which helps in locomotion, in capturing and transport of food, as well as respiration. So excretory system is absent in this case, and excretion occurs through this water vascular system only. And sexes are separate, that is male and female are separate. Sexual reproduction is seen, external fertilization, and development is indirect with free swimming larvae, and these larvae are bilaterally symmetrical as explained earlier. Example are estuaries starfish, sea urchin, sea lily, sea cucumber, brittle star, etc. Then comes phylum Hemichordata. So these were initially included in the phylum Protochordata, but then they were separated due to some other characteristics or something. These are worm-like marine organism. They have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and coelomate, and their body is divided into anterior proboscis, a collar, and a long trunk. They have open type of circulatory system. Respiration is through gills. Excretory system is proboscis gland. Male and females are separate. Fertilization is external, and development is indirect. And not much is known about this phylum, and only very few species are like living. Most of them might be extinct by now. An example are Balanoglossus and Saccoglossus. Now comes the phylum Chordata. So all the chordates have few similar characteristics, and these chordates are divided into three subphylums, which are Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. So this is Eschidia, and these Eschidia belongs to Urochordata. This is Amphioxus, this belongs to Cephalochordata, and these are the vertebrates. It consists of amphibians, fishes, reptiles, mammals, and birds, which I will come to later. So the general characteristics of all the chordates are presence of a notochord. So notochord is a long cylindrical like structure which is present in all the chordates at some point of at some stage of life at least. So they might be present throughout their life stage, or they might be present only in the embryonic form and then later disappear. So also they have pharyngeal slits. These are the pharyngeal slits. These are also present in some organisms. They are permanently present, and in some it might disappear after embryonic development. So a third is they have endostyle or thyroid gland. So there is an organ called endostyle, which is which is replaced by thyroid gland in all these chordates. Also, there is a dorsal hollow nerve cord forming the simple CNS. So a nerve cord on the top of the notochord, hollow nerve cord, dorsal nerve cord, is found on the top of the notochord in these organisms, and these form the simple central nervous system. Then come fifth, they have tail, post-anal tail. So in all the notochords, all the chordates, a tail is present at some point of their life, and these are the five main characteristics of all chordates. So phylum Chordata is divided into three subphyla: Urochordate, Cephalochordate, and Vertebrata. Subphyla Urochordate and Cephalochordate are together known as Protochordata, and the third is Vertebrata. So in Urochordate, the notochord is present only in the larval tail, while in Cephalochordate, it extends from head to tail region and is persistent throughout their life. Examples, and they both are exclusively marine. Example of Urochordate is Eschidia, this one, and Cephalochordata is Amphioxus, which is this one. Then comes the subphylum Vertebrata. So the members of subphylum Vertebrata possess notochord, but only during embryonic period. Later on, the notochord is replaced by cartilaginous or bony vertebral column in the adult. And other characteristics of vertebrates are they have ventral muscular heart, they have kidneys and paired appendages, which might be fins or limbs. So vertebrates are further divided into two divisions. One is agnatha, another one is gnathostomata. So agnatha lacks jaw, that is, they do not have jaw, and gnathostomata have jaw. These agnatha consist of class Cyclostoma, and gnathostomata is further divided into superclasses Pisces and tetrapods, which are further divided into class Chondroichthys, Osteichthys, Amphibia, Reptilia, aves, and mammals. So first comes the class Cyclostomata, which belongs to Agnatha division, and they lack jaw. This is lamprey and this is hagfish, and both of them lack jaw. And these are the only two living species of Cyclostomata right now. Rest all species are extinct. So all living members of this class are ectoparasite. So both of these are ectoparasite on other fishes, and they have a sucking organ and circular mouth which lack jaw. Their body is devoid of any scale and paired fins, and cranium and vertebral column are cartilaginous, and circulation is of closed type. Cyclostomes are mostly marine. They are marine, but for spawning, they migrate to fresh water, and after spawning, they die within a few days. And their larvae, after metamorphosis, return back to the ocean. So example are lamprey and hagfish, which is Petromyzon and Myxin. Then comes the class Chondrichthyes, or however it is pronounced, I don't know. And this is Scoliodon, which is also known as dogfish. This is torpedo. This is stingray. This is whale shark, which is the largest cartilaginous fish. This is sawfish, and this is the great white shark. So, hello, anyone has any doubt?
Hello, Nisi.
Yes, it is osteophthyes and chondriophthyes.
Okay, thank you. Again, can you repeat it?
Chondriophthyes.
Chondrichthyes, okay. Chondrichthyes and osteichthyes, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, chondrichthyes are marine, and they have streamlined body, and they have cartilaginous endoskeleton. So, and their mouth is located ventrally, and their tail is heterocircle. That is, the tail is uneven. The dorsal part is longer and ventral part is smaller. And notochord is persistent throughout the life. Gill slits are present, but they are not covered by operculum. And they have placoid scales, and they do not possess air bladder or swim bladder. So they have to continuously swim to prevent themselves from drowning. And they have two-chambered heart, and so they are cold-blooded animals, which is also known as poikilothms. And some of them have electric organs, such as torpedo, and some possess poison sting, such as stingray, which is known as trigon. And male and female are separate. And in males, the pelvic fin bear clasper to hold female, and the fertilization is internal. And many of them are viviparous. And sharks are mostly ovoviviparous, that is, they lay eggs, but they do not have placenta. But the hatching of eggs takes place inside the body, and young adult are released from the body, but the placenta is not present. Examples are Scoliodon, which is dogfish, sawfish, great white shark, stingray, etc. Now come osteichthyes. Okay. So this is the flying fish. This is fighter fish. This is anglerfish. This is seahorse. This is rohu. And this is the mola, which is the largest bonifish present. And these are marine and freshwater. They have bony endoskeleton. They have terminal mouth. They have 4 pair of gills, which are covered by the operculum. The scales can be cycloid or ctenoid. Air bladder or swim bladder are present. So buoyancy is maintained in this fish. And they have 2-chambered heart. And these are cold-blooded animals. Males and females are separate. Fertilization is external. And they are mostly oviparous. And development is direct. Examples are flying fish, seahorse, labio, rohu, katla, magar, fighting fish, and angelfish, etc. Then comes the class Amphibia. So this is the tree frog, this is toad, this is purple frog, this is salamander, and this is it's Thiopis, which is limbless amphibia. So they may be aquatic or terrestrial. Most of them have 2 pairs of limb. Only limbless amphibia do not have it. And body is divisible into head and trunk, and the skin is moist, that is, no scale is present. Eyes have eyelids, and a tympanum represents ear. They do not have external ear known as pinna. And the cloaca, which is the single opening for digestive system, respiratory, excretory system, etc. is present. And respiration can be by gills, lungs, and through skin. They have 3-chambered heart, and they are cold-blooded animals. Males and females are separate. Fertilization is external. They are oviparous. Development is maybe direct or indirect. So example are toad, frog, tree frog, salamander, limbless amphibia, etc. Then comes the class Reptilia. So this is spiny horn lizard, this is chameleon, this is green vine snake, this is black mamba, this is viper, this is tortoise, turtle, crocodile. They are mostly terrestrial. One more thing is the eggs of amphibians are not covered by hard shell, and these are soft, and therefore they require water for laying eggs. Without water, they cannot survive. They can survive on land, but for laying their eggs, they need to come back to the water, and because their eggs may dry up in absence of water because it is not covered by hard shell. And in case of reptiles, they are mostly terrestrial. Body is covered by dry and cornified skin, and or epidermal scales or scutes. They do not have external ear opening. So tymphanum represents ear. Limbs are usually present and are 2 pairs, and only in case of snakes the limbs are not present. Heart is 3-chambered, but in crocodile the heart is 4-chambered, and they are poikilotherms, that is cold-blooded. Males and females are separate. Fertilization is internal, and development and they are oviparous. Some of the snakes are viviparous, and the development is direct. Example are chelon, turtle, tortoise, chameleon, calotis, which is garden lizard, crocodile, alligator, wall lizard, cobra, snakes like cobra, crate, viper, etc. And they have eggs covered by hard calcareous shell. Then comes the class aves, which consists of all the birds. And so feather is the most important feature. Feather is present, and most of them can fly. Only order Retata retites cannot fly, which include all the flightless birds. They possess beak, and the forelimbs are modified into wings, and the hind limbs generally have scales. Skin is usually dry without glands, except oil gland, which is present at the base of the tail. They have bony skeleton, and the long bones are hollow with air cavity. These are known as pneumatic bones. These are adaptation for flight by reducing. So it helps in reducing weight. The digestive tract of bird has additional chamber, which is the crop and the gizzard, which help in breaking down the pieces of the food. Heart is 4-chambered, and they are warm-blooded, which is homothermous. They are homothermous animals. Respiration is by lungs, and external air sacs are connected to lung to supplement respiration, because respiration becomes difficult during the flight. So these are the air sacs in this diagram: cervical, interclavicle, clavicular, etc. So these assist in the respiration, and male and female are separate. Fertilization is internal. They are oviparous, that is lay eggs, and these eggs are covered by hard shell, and development is direct. Example: crow, pigeon, parrot, ostrich, peacock, penguin, vulture, etc. Then comes the last class, which is the Mammalia, and Mammalia further divided into 3: monotremes, marsupial, as well as placental mammals. So these are the monotremes, which are egg-laying mammals. These are the marsupials, mammals having pouch-like structure, and these are the true mammals which have placenta. So they live in a variety of habitats, and the most important characteristic is presence of mammary gland. They have 2 pairs of limbs, and these limbs may be modified for various functions. And the skin possess hair. They have external ear or pinna, and different type of teeth are present in the jaw. Heart is usually 4-chambered. Heart is 4-chambered, and 4-chambered, and they are homothermous. Respiration is by lungs. Males and females are separate. Fertilization is internal, and they are viviparous with few exceptions. Exceptions include only the monotremes, which are egg-laying. Development is direct, and examples are for oviparous, it is duckbill platypus and spiny anteater or echidna. Viviparous, in viviparous include marsupials such as kangaroo, tasman devil, etc., and other true mammals such as camel, monkey, bat, rat, dog, cat, elephant, etc. So this is a further classification of mammals if anyone is interested. So these are the monotremes, these are marsupials, and these are all the eutherians, which are placental animals. So we belong to primate, and so these are the dolphins, whales, which evolved separately from a common family, which is Artiodactyla, and this includes the dugong and manatee, which also later on adapted to live in water. So these are the two families, or genus, which lives in water. And this is the whole compilation of all the classification. So Porifera have cellular level of organization, symmetry is many, mostly asymmetrical, etc. So you can refer to this for the on-the-spot revision. Thank you, everyone.
एक मिनट। हेलो